This is the November-December 2017 issue of the BVA Bulletin, Volume 72, Number 6. The National President of the Blinded Veterans Association is Joe Parker of Pisgah Forest, North Carolina. Paul Mims of Kansas City, Missouri is the National Vice President. The National Secretary is Joseph McNeil of Columbus, Georgia, and the National Treasurer is Daniel Wallace of Cape Coral, Florida. Serving as district directors from Districts 1 to 6 are the following: Dennis O'Connell of Long Beach, New York, representing District 1, David Fox of Kettering, Ohio, representing District 2, Vernon Richmond of Haw River, North Carolina, District 3, Geneseo Morrow of Gilbert, Arizona, District 4, Paul Kaminsky of Middleburg, Florida, represents District 5, and Dr. Thomas Sampieri of Pearland, Texas, works on behalf of the BVA membership in District 6. Dale Stamper of Hayden, Idaho, is the association's immediate past national president. Additional appointed officers are Bishop J. L. McLeod of Hampton, Virginia, national chaplain, and Monica Gilmore of Rocky Mount, North Carolina, national sergeant at arms. Joe Burns of New Orleans, Louisiana, and Dr. Donald Gagliano of National Harbor, Maryland, are both honorary members of the association's board of directors. Blinded Veterans Association auxiliary officers include the following: President Sandy Krasnodemsky of Allen Park, Michigan, Vice President Pam Hogan of Canyon Country, California, Secretary Benjamin Holmes of Midland, Georgia, and Treasurer Carl Heitenen of Seekonk, Massachusetts. Edna Kirksey Dixon of Bay Minette, Alabama, serves as the auxiliary reporter and has provided the auxiliary's View column for this issue. BVA's national headquarters staff members are Executive Director Al Avina, Administrative Director Bridget Jones, National Field Service Program Director Edward Eckroth, and Chief Financial Officer Kathy Rouet. The Director of Public Affairs is Melanie Brunson. The National Veterans Care Review Specialist is Wade Davis. The Human Resource Specialist for the headquarters is Chrissy Spence Gilbert, and the Membership Coordinator is Cecilia Montenegro. The Senior National Field Service Officer and Acting Director of Field Services is Claudia Belk. The BVA National Headquarters is located at 125 Northwest Street, Alexandria, Virginia, 22314. Each full-time headquarters staff member can be reached by dialing 202-371-8880 or toll-free 1-800-669-7079, and by then following prompts that connect the caller to the correct department and individual. Email communication will be forwarded to the appropriate recipient when sent through BVA's general email address, bva@bva.org. The organization's combined federal campaign number remains 10513. The BVA Bulletin is published bi-monthly by and for all blinded veterans. There is no charge to receive the print version of the publication, which is available upon request of the national headquarters to any interested individual or organization. Requests for multiple copies will be honored whenever possible. An audio compact disc version is mailed to annual and life members upon specific request. The audio version is also accessible via the BVA website. Contents of this issue of the Bulletin include the following articles: Legislative Update by Melanie Brunson, President's Page by Joe Parker, Remarks by the Executive Director by Al Avina, BVA Honors Veterans Day, Big Apple hosts Blind Hockey by Bruce Porter, Around BVA, Chaplain's Corner by Chaplain J. McLeod, Auxiliaries View by Edna Dixon, From the Field Staff by Hallie Smith, In Remembrance, and the customary final thought. The cover of this issue of the BVA Bulletin is one photo with the following caption: On November 11, 2017, people from all across the United States came to Arlington National Cemetery to participate in Veterans Day ceremonies. Marking the 99th anniversary of the end of World War I, veterans, their families, and several dignitaries gathered to honor those who have served our country. The photo depicts Mid-Atlantic Regional Group Secretary Michonne Harrison, followed by BVA President Joe Parker and Doris Jones, being escorted to the tomb of the unknown soldier to lay a wreath. An honor guard representative is following, holding the wreath, and numerous spectators can be seen in the background. Legislative Update by Melanie Brunson. The regular thumbnail head and shoulders color photo of Melanie accompanies her column as always. She is depicted in the photo with dark glasses, earrings, and a serious pose. There is no accompanying caption. COLAs are coming for beneficiaries of Social Security and Veterans Disability Compensation. Earlier this month, the Social Security Administration released a statement announcing that, beginning with checks for the month of January 2018, Social Security beneficiaries will receive a cost of living adjustment of 2.0%. People who receive Social Security disability or retirement benefits will see this increase in checks issued after December 1, 2017. People who receive Supplemental Security Income, SSI, payments will see the increase beginning December 29, 2017. This change is due to an increase in the Consumer Price Index, as reported by the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. Incidentally, there will be an accompanying change in the earnings limit for people who receive Social Security Disability Income, SSDI, benefits. SSDI beneficiaries who are blind will be able to earn up to $1,970 per month without penalty for engaging in substantial gainful employment. This is an increase of $20 per month from the 2017 earnings limit. People with disabilities other than blindness will be able to earn $10 more per month without a negative impact on their benefits. Additionally, legislation to provide a similar cost of living increase to those who receive veterans compensation and dependency compensation, as well as those who receive a clothing allowance from the VA, cleared its last hurdle when the Senate approved the measure. Since the House had approved the bill earlier this year, it was sent out to the White House for the President's signature. There is widespread bipartisan support for this measure, which mandates that beneficiaries of the compensation programs noted above receive a cost of living adjustment identical to that given with Social Security beneficiaries based upon the Consumer Price Index report. Veterans receiving disability benefits, surviving spouses, and children who receive dependency compensation, and veterans who receive a clothing allowance can expect to see a 2.0% increase beginning with checks issued after December 1st of this year. Please feel free to share this information with anyone who may be impacted by it. I will also provide a link to the Social Security Administration's press release for anyone wanting more information. The link to the press release is https://www.ssa.gov/press/releases//post/number sign//1017-1. Nationwide class action challenges Hulu's discrimination against blind and visually impaired individuals. A coalition of blind and visually impaired individuals and advocacy groups filed a nationwide class action against Hulu to end the video streaming company's ongoing exclusion of blind and visually impaired Americans. The lawsuit, filed on November 20, 2017, in the U.S. District Court for the District of Massachusetts, challenges Hulu's violation of the Americans with Disabilities Act. Hulu, one of the largest online streaming services in the country, offers thousands of shows and movies, including award-winning original content, to most customers at the click of a mouse. However, the company fails to provide audio description, a separate audio track that blind and visually impaired people need in order to access the exclusively visual content of a show or movie for any streaming videos. In addition, Hulu's website and applications are not accessible to blind and visually impaired individuals who use screen readers to navigate the Internet. The American Council of the Blind, Bay State Council of the Blind, and blind individuals brought this action to end Hulu's discriminatory business practices. Disability Rights Advocates, DRA, a national nonprofit legal center, and the Disability Law Center, DLC, Massachusetts Protection and Advocacy System, represent these individuals and organizations. Latest statistics from the Veterans Administration as of 30 September 2017. Number of veterans receiving VA disability compensation, 4.55 million. Number of veterans rated 100% disabled, 609,325. Number of veterans receiving VA pension, 276,574. Number of spouses receiving DIC, 394,028. Number of total enrollees in VA healthcare system in fiscal year 2016, 9.05 million. Number of total unique patients treated in fiscal year 2016, 6.26 million. Number of veterans compensated for PTSD, 959,703. Number of veterans in receipt of IU benefits, 349,049. Number of VA education beneficiaries, 946,829. Number of life insurance policies supervised and administered by VA, 6.08 million. Face amount of insurance policies supervised and administered by VA, 1.22 trillion. Number of veterans participating in vocational rehab, Chapter 31, in fiscal year 2016, 137,973. Number of active VA home loan participants, 2.9 million. Number of healthcare professionals rotating through VA in fiscal year 2016, 127,211. Number of OEF, OIF amputees, 1,716. Veterans demographics. Projected U.S. veterans population, 19,998,799. Female, 1,882,848, or 9.4%. Projected number of living World War II veterans, 623,653. Estimated number of World War II veterans pass away per day, 404. Percentage of veteran population 65 or older, 47.1%. Veteran population by race, white 81.6%, black 12.3%, Asian Pacific Islander 1.8%, other 3.5%. American Indian, Alaska Natives 0.7%, Hispanic 7.4%. About VA. Number of VA employees in pay status, 379,263. Number of full-time VA employees as of 9/30/17, 351,540. Number of VA hospitals, 145. Number of VA outpatient sites, 1,231. Number of VA vet centers, 300. Number of VBA regional offices, 56. Number of VA national cemeteries, 135. Fiscal year 16 appropriations, actual. VA, $166.93 billion. VHA, $64.79 billion. VBA GOE, $2.70 billion. NCA, $271 million. OIT, $4.06 billion. Fiscal year 17 appropriations enacted, VA $180.03 billion, VHA $68.42 billion, VBA GOE $2.84 billion, NCA $286 million, OIT $4.27 billion. Fiscal year 18 appropriations requested, VA $186.46 billion, VHA $72.95 billion, VBA GOE $2.84 billion, NCA $306 million, OIT $4.06 billion. World War I Quick Facts. The World War I Memorial Inventory Project is documenting over 1,000 memorials throughout the country. American sculptor Anna Ladd created realistic masks for facially disfigured World War I veterans. President's Page by Joe Parker. A thumbnail head and shoulders black and white photo of Joe accompanies his column. He is depicted speaking into a microphone wearing a white navy dress coat with black bow tie, BVA National Officer cap, and sunglasses. The text of the President's Page begins with the following. After the August convention, I spent a week in Alexandria, Virginia with the headquarters staff. This allowed me to get a better understanding of the problems that are creating difficulties for the organization, as well as the membership. We're making every effort to make adjustments to the staff and the way we do business in order to stay within a realistic budget and provide services to the membership and other blinded veterans. I must ask you to give us, the BVA Board of Directors and the BVA staff, some breathing room and to allow us to do the job you have elected us to accomplish. It is our goal to be as transparent as we can without jeopardizing any legal obligations and to make sure we fulfill the mission of BVA. I'll keep you informed of developments as they occur. Please look for these updates in future articles. The month of October was especially good for BVA. Genesee Amaro, director of BVA District 4, and I traveled to Palo Alto, California to participate in the opening of the new Blind Rehabilitation Center. I shared center stage with the National Commander of the Disabled American Veterans, DAV, in the ribbon-cutting ceremony. After a short speech, I presented the Chief of Blind Rehabilitation Services with a framed copy of the BVA seal and a framed parchment of the description and explanation of the seal to be displayed in a prominent place at the BRC. After a luncheon on the enclosed garden patio, we were given a private tour of the facility. This is by far the best engineered and equipped rehabilitation center in the VA healthcare system. It has 34 beds, expanded training facilities, and facilities for family training. The entire second floor is dedicated to the rehabilitation of blinded veterans. The first and third floors are for physical medicine and rehabilitation services, PM&R, and polytrauma systems of care programs, respectively. The entire facility encompasses 174,000 square feet and is designed for the administration of efficient, adaptive training and care of the patient's medical needs. Please don't forget to acknowledge our fellow veterans and think of their well-being this Thanksgiving and Christmas season. Remember, we are blinded veterans helping blinded veterans. This can be a simple thank you with a handshake, a hug, a simple nod, or a donation to the Blinded Veterans Association. Remarks by the Executive Director by Al Avina. I'm writing to you today to explain how the changes mentioned in the letter we emailed to you in September will affect you, our members. Changes like these are always difficult, but it is our intention and desire to streamline and update our services so that your needs and the needs of fellow and future BVA members will be efficiently and effectively addressed. The newly established Public Affairs Office includes what was the Government Relations and Communications Departments. Melanie Brunson, formerly the Director of Government Relations, now heads up the Public Affairs Office as a director. All the legislative updates will continue as before, and the bulletin will now be produced from within this department. We hope to have a part-time communications specialist in place by December, and this person will assume responsibility for editing the bulletin. We look forward to introducing them to you in the January-February issue. In the administrative department, we no longer have a receptionist to answer incoming phone calls. Members will need to either use the phone tree to navigate through the system or dial a 3-digit extension to speak with the appropriate staff person. We have included a list of these extensions at the end of this letter. The membership staff have taken on all the merchandise responsibilities and can take your orders over the phone, via email, and within the next couple of months via the members-only section of the website. We're in the process of recruiting a BVA convention coordinator to handle the logistics of that event and expect to have an update on this position in the next issue of the bulletin as well. Finally, I wanted to let you know that we have unfortunately had to say an unplanned farewell to Chelsea Dumond. Chelsea resigned her position with BVA just before Thanksgiving to take a position with another nonprofit in the Washington, D.C. area. This will be a loss to BVA, but please join me in wishing her all the best in this new endeavor. I want to thank Chelsea publicly for her service to BVA and our members. Thank you, our members, for all you do as well in support of BVA. The list of staff extensions follows. Al Avina, extension 304. Chrissy Spence Gilbert, 323. Bridget Jones, 330. Lindsay Rouet, 319. Kathy Rouet, 317. Yvonne Preston, 324. Rachel Rahman, 325. Cecilia Montenegro, 315. Ed Eckroth, 322. Judy Eckroth, 318. Susan McFetrich, 302. Melanie Brunson, 305. Bruce Porter, 332. Claudia Belk, 336. And from the Resource Center, Patrick Johnson, 333. Asiya Kadri, 335, Hallie Smith, 337, and Richard Lane, 326. BVA Honors Veterans Day. This article includes 3 photos. Shown first are BVA Mid-Atlantic Regional Group Officers Doris Jones and Michonne Harrison, preparing to lay the BVA wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier, with BVA National President Joe Parker in the center. The second photo is of BVA Mid-Atlantic Regional Group Officers Doris Jones and Michonne Harrison, along with BVA National President Joe Parker, proceeding to the tomb of the unknown soldier to lay the wreath. The final photo is the cover of the Veterans Day program, featuring a photo of the Lincoln Memorial. On November 11, 2017, people from all across the United States came to Arlington National Cemetery to participate in Veterans Day ceremonies. Marking the 99th anniversary of the end of World War I, veterans, their families, and several dignitaries gathered to honor those who have served our country. All branches of service and eras were represented as the 21-gun salute sounded at the arrival of the Vice President of the United States, Mike Pence. The morning began early for BVA National President Joe Parker and his wife Maureen as they attended the Veterans Day breakfast held this year at the Chamber of Commerce prior to the ceremonies. On the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month commemorating the signing of the armistice that ended the First World War, the Vice President laid a wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier. The colors were carried into the amphitheater by a procession led by this year's host organization, the Korean War Veterans. BVA's Mid-Atlantic Regional Group Officers Doris Jones and Michonne Harrison participated in the procession of colors on behalf of BVA. Also in attendance was BVA Executive Director Al Avina, National Field Service Officer Claudia Belk, Communications Staff Member Rachel Rahman, and Chelsea Dumond. BVA National President Joe Parker was seated center stage as Chaplain Michael McCoy, Director of VA Chaplain Service, led the opening prayer. The National President of the Korean War Veterans Association of the USA led the Pledge of Allegiance and welcomed all those in attendance. Prior to introducing Vice President Pence, Secretary of Veterans Affairs David J. Shulkin spoke about the recent accomplishments of the Department of Veterans Affairs and the work that is still to come to honor our veterans and meet their needs in the future. Vice President Mike Pence used his first Veterans Day address to call on all Americans to take the time to thank a veteran. He shared the story of a Medal of Honor winner who went above and beyond to save his fellow soldiers. In the midst of battle, he provided cover fire so those with him could escape, and even though it meant he may sacrifice himself, he called an airstrike on his own position to make sure others could get out safely. The story of this Medal of Honor recipient is just one example of what our veterans have endured, and it is their courage and self-sacrifice that we honor each Veterans Day. Following the ceremony, representatives from each of the member and associate member organizations of the Veterans Day National Committee laid wreaths at the tomb of the unknown soldier. BVA National President Joe Parker, flanked by Michonne Harrison on his right and Doris Jones on his left, laid a wreath on behalf of BVA in honor of our nation's veterans. World War I Quick Facts. Did you know that the iconic Uncle Sam poster was created for World War I recruitment? Disqualified from World War I service for poor eyesight, Harry Truman memorized the eye chart. Big Apple hosts blind hockey by Bruce Porter. This article includes 3 photos. Shown first is BVA Program Director Bruce Porter preparing to drop the puck at center ice as the Hartford Brailers took on the Washington Elite in Central Park, New York City. The second photo is BVA member Jake Melanie sitting against a fence, staring intently at the action on the ice as he prepares to take on the Hartford Brailers in Central Park, New York City. The third photo is BVA member and Hartford Brailer Jim Sadecki as the goaltender tracking down a puck during the event at Central Park, New York City. It was a bright sunny day as the BVA's blind hockey team gathered in New York City to help kick off the New York team and play in a historic match. Program Director Bruce Porter led a group of 15 blinded veterans and other visually impaired athletes from Hartford, Connecticut, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Washington, D.C., and New York to the center of the Big Apple. The group came to show the world our sports of blind hockey, and further the parasport destined to headline the Paralympic Games. Blinded veteran Jim Sadecki rode the train down from Connecticut with some of his Hartford Brailers teammates in tow. Coach Bruce and the BVA helped start the Brailers blind hockey team with a tri-blind hockey event last January. Porter will return to Connecticut this January 5th and 6th, hosting the first annual New Year's Cup. Blinded veterans Lawrence Harrison and Jake Melanie traveled with Coach Bruce Porter to support the event. Both athletes started ice skating and playing hockey as part of the sports program made possible by the Adaptive Sports Grant BVA received from the VA. After a 5-hour trip from BVA headquarters to New York City, they all settled into their hotels thinking of the day ahead. First stop the next morning was the Woolman Rink, an outdoor ice surface in the center of Central Park. The athletes were greeted by an usher at the gate and shown a special area to prepare in. Central Park was abuzz as the BVA's team of blind hockey players began to put on their hockey gear. At high noon, some of the top blind hockey players in America took the ice for warm-up and drills. "The ice is great," said Porter. "The puck moves a bit slower on outdoor ice, but the players are adapting well." Veterans Lawrence Harrison and Jake Melanie both learned how to skate at the National Gallery of Art Sculpture Garden ice rink, so they were used to skating on outdoor ice. After warming up, the teams were divided, with the New York athletes playing for the Hartford Brailers and Pittsburgh athletes playing on the Washington Elite team. At 12:15, the two teams made history as a blind hockey puck dropped for the first time in Central Park, New York City. A brisk game ensued, with both sides working the puck up and down the rink, passing, and taking shots on goal. VA employee Liz Botner was in the goal representing the Hartford Brailers. Playing goal for Washington Elite was Ian Cohen, who traveled to New York City with hockey gear as part of the BVA's partnership with Leveling the Playing Field. This partnership allows the BVA to provide free hockey equipment to hundreds of visually impaired athletes across the country. Jim Sadecki played defense for the Brailers, and Lawrence Harrison played defense for the Washington Elite. Jake Melanie played center for Washington Elite, creating scoring opportunities using skills he's learned while playing with the BVA team this year. After 20 minutes of play, the score was tied 0-0. Coach Bruce Porter blew the whistle and called a break as the athletes were served water by the Woolman Rink staff. "Everyone give a hand for the Woolman Rink and their staff," cried Porter, as the players banged their sticks against the ice and drank some water. "Without the Woolman Rink management, USA Hockey, and our partnership with U.S. Figure Skating's Learn to Skate program, this would never have happened," Porter said. At any given time, there are a few hundred to 1,000 people on the barrier overlooking the Woolman Rink. There were likely over 10,000 people who saw the blind hockey showcase game throughout the match. After a short break, the teams met up at center ice for another 20 minutes of play. The second period of play was faster paced as the athletes became adjusted to the conditions. Brailers forward Keith Haley scored the first goal with an assist from Metro New York blind hockey's Anthony Caputo. The action was intense as both teams tried to capitalize on their chances to score. Jake Melanie nearly had a goal for Washington Elite as teammate Emily Molchen centered the puck. Kenny and Caleb Calhoun played their hearts out, creating many scoring chances as they battled with the added brightness of the outdoor rink. In the end, veteran Jim Sadecki's Brailers came out on top, 3-0. "We did it," yelled Porter as he blew his whistle, bringing the game to an end. "Central Park, remember this moment and hold it close to your heart. Remember for all time that it was you who made the journey to further your parasport of blind hockey. Play an epic game in the center of the Big Apple, and start the NYC blind hockey team." The athletes shook hands and gathered for a group photo before leaving to prepare for the next event scheduled for that evening. The next stop was Queens, where the group met up with New York Islanders player Steve Webb to kick off the Tri-Blind Hockey NYC event. You could feel the excitement in the air as folks from across the East Coast came together for the new blind hockey team in New York City. "It's so exciting to come to New York and help the Metro New York Blind Hockey Club get their team started," said veteran Lawrence Harrison. "Our efforts today will be appreciated by visually impaired athletes for years to come." End quote. The event finished with another Hartford Brailers versus Washington Elite showcase game. After a group photo, the BVA teams loaded up and headed back to the hotel. The next morning, the BVA group gathered again at Rockefeller Center. "Skating at Rockefeller Center is one of my lifelong bucket list items," said Jim Sadecki. The group skated, posted live videos, and took photos before heading home. The next stop for the BVA blind hockey stars is Lake Placid, New York, this November 23 to 26. Porter will lead an ice skating and blind hockey clinic as well as tri-blind bobsled and tri-blind luge events, testing the boundaries of future Paralympic sports. The annual BVA Blind Hockey Weekend will be held at Kettler Capitals Iceplex, February 2nd to 4th. The event headlines with a tri-blind hockey event Saturday, February 3rd, 7:30 p.m., followed by a historic matchup of USA versus Canada featuring top players across North America. All of the hockey equipment, time on the ice, coaching, and opportunities to learn to skate and play blind hockey are provided to visually impaired veterans through an adaptive sports grant from the VA and funds raised by the BVA. We hope to build 10 strong teams in the coming year as we train visually impaired athletes nationwide. Around BVA, White Cane Day. This article contains 4 photos. Shown first is the cover of the White Cane Day Safety Day program lying on a table. The second photo is BVA Medical Center Director Larry Connell stopping traffic as blinded veterans are escorted across the street. The third photo is 2 blind rehab staff holding up signs promoting awareness of the white cane outside the VA Medical Center. And the fourth photo is of BVA Mid-Atlantic Regional Group members, blind rehab staff, and the Walter E. Reed VA Medical Center Director posing for a group shot after the White Cane Awareness Walk. On October 12, 2017, members of the BVA Mid-Atlantic Group, along with BVA headquarters staff and staff of the D.C. VA Medical Center, held a walk and set up a tabletop display to celebrate White Cane Day, which is traditionally observed on October 15th of each year. Attendees gathered in the lobby of the medical center, each taking up a sign reading, "Stop for pedestrians who are blind. It is the law." The regional group members and BVA headquarters staff were joined by the acting medical center director, Larry Connell. Sign in hand, the medical center director led the way as blind veterans, rehab staff, and volunteers walked around the medical center property. Additionally, BVA had National Veterans Service officers available immediately following the walk to assist their fellow blinded veterans with any questions regarding VA benefits and claims. A table display was set up in the lobby of the medical center where visitors could learn about BVA as well as what it means to be a blind or visually impaired veteran. The Blinded Veterans Association of North Carolina, in conjunction with the local Visual Impairment Support Team, VIST, the Blind Rehabilitation Outpatient Service, BROS, and the Recreational Therapy Outpatient Group set up an exhibit displaying information about services available to blind and visually impaired veterans residing in the greater Raleigh-Durham area. The display was set up in the Durham VA Medical Hospital main entrance. North Carolina Regional Group President Lee Davis and BVA District 3 Director Vernon Richmond were on site to answer questions about BVA, vision impairment, and the significance of the symbolism of the white cane. Those in attendance had a fun time and learned something also. They enjoyed cupcakes, popcorn, and drinks. BVA members shared information about the services offered with anyone who was willing to listen. White Cane Day became a national observance in 1964. The mission of White Cane Day is to educate the world about blindness and how the blind and visually impaired can live and work independently while giving back to their communities, to celebrate the capabilities and accomplishments of blind people in a sighted world, and to honor the many contributions made by people who are blind and visually impaired. Operation Peer Support leads by example. BVA's Operation Peer Support Committee is happy to announce the participants for the 2017 Fall Deer Hunt. All of these veterans are blind, and we are excited as we have been working with a new scope that will allow more flexibility for the veteran hunt. Heroes New Hope Foundation has organized an all-inclusive deer hunting trip for blinded veterans during the last week of November. This event will host 4 blinded veterans who will receive travel, lodging, license fees, tags, and meals. All attendees will have a professional guide to assist them in all aspects of this event. Participants this year include Don Bickham, member in Florida, Dale Smith of New Mexico, Eric Martz from Minnesota, and Brian Harris, attending from Illinois. Throughout the year, Operation Peer Support works to support our blind and visually impaired veterans to attend various events. At the 72nd National Convention, the program hosted its largest convention group yet, with 13 blinded veterans new to the organization and convention. OPS also provided $3,000 in financial support to those members affected by Hurricanes Harvey, Irma, and Maria, which was the contribution that launched the BVA headquarters Hurricane Relief Initiative. British and U.S. blinded veterans unite at White Cane Day. This article has 2 photos. The first photo depicts more than a dozen blinded British and U.S. veterans posing for a group photo outside a hotel at the 13th Annual Major Charles Robert Soltes Memorial Golf Tournament. The second photo shows members of BVA Project Gemini gathering to celebrate White Cane Day, October 13, 2017. 6 blinded American veterans and 6 British blinded comrades shared rehabilitation experiences that tell the story of their personal adjustment to blindness at the 13th Annual Major Charles Robert Soltes Memorial Golf Tournament in Irvine, California, which was the centerpiece of a week of events from Sunday, October 8th through Saturday, October 14th, 2017. The Project Gemini group of veterans also participated in the first International White Cane Day event on Friday, October 13th, with local blinded veterans, rehabilitation staff from the Blind Rehabilitation Center, and many of the Long Beach VA Medical Center staff, including the director. The director of the Major Charles R. Soltes Jr. OD Blind Rehabilitation Center, Mr. Paul Coons, arranged a terrific opening White Cane Day ceremony in the auditorium. The approximately 150 participants included veterans, medical center staff, and other invited guests. The program included a presentation recognizing the fact that it was on October 13, 2004, when Major Soltes became the first U.S. Army optometrist soldier killed in action while serving on active duty in Iraq. This was followed by a moment of silence in honor of his sacrifice for our nation. The president of the Blind Veterans UK also made remarks during which he told those assembled that on March 24th of this year, Project Gemini was recognized in the UK with the Soldiering On Award for 2017 in the international category. This award, presented in London, acknowledges the outstanding achievements of those who have served their country. It also recognizes individuals and groups who successfully work together with the Armed Forces International Community in the United Kingdom with special programs. At the conclusion of the program, all of the participants marched throughout the medical center with flags, balloons, and signs commemorating National White Cane Day. Following the 30-minute walk, all the veterans were invited to barbecue and some afternoon entertainment. The goal of each Project Gemini exchange that has taken place during the past 7 years is similar. We all learn from one another and share our experiences in the areas of blind rehabilitation, adaptive technology, recreational sports, and vision research. The Project Gemini participants spent 5 days before the White Cane event, beginning with the golf event on Monday. On Tuesday, they visited the famous Gary Sinise Foundation in L.A., the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and were hosted for dinner at American Legion Post No. 43. Wednesday was spent on the water, as participants went sailing in Newport Beach with California Inclusive Sailing. Thursday kicked off with a tour of the Major Charles R. Soltes Jr. OD VA Blind Rehabilitation Center, followed by an afternoon of blind archery and a visit to Port Long Beach Police Command Center. Friday sent participants back to the water in the morning before the White Cane Day event, as they continued with events at the International Rowing Training Center. During the Friday morning rowing event, a local television station interviewed Tom Zampieri and one of the Blind Veterans UK members, Darren Blanks, and discussed the importance of the annual exchanges with Project Gemini. The segment ran on the early evening ABC News affiliate station and helped raise awareness about BVA programs. The BVA veterans who took part in this year's events include Corporal Steve Baskus, Army First Sergeant Dan Wallace, Sergeant Monica Gilmore, Navy Petty Officer Scott Shazinski, Lieutenant Brian Ski Donarski, Corporal Nate Harrison, Army Ranger Joe Amerling, retired, volunteer, all of whom are Gulf War I or Gulf War II era veterans. Major Thomas Zampieri, retired, is a BVA board member. The UK participants included Colin Williamson, president of Blind Veterans UK, Army Corporal John Robinson, Lance Corporal Mark Hume, Trooper Darren Blanks, Corporal Christopher Strudwick, Corporal Kelly Ganfield, BV UK Sports and Recreation Manager Louise Timms. This year's Project Gemini exchanges are also recognizing the joint historical significance of the World War I centennial and its impact on the beginnings of war-blind rehabilitation programs in America in April 1917. The first Army General Hospital, designated as a blind training center, opened in November 1917. Known as Evergreen Hospital and located outside Baltimore, its staff provided training for blinded and visually impaired service members until it closed in 1920. The Red Cross then operated it until 1922. There are 5,000 men and women in the U.S. who have been affected by penetrating eye injuries, with an estimated 35,000 wounded in the VA system with suspected TBI vision system impairments. The goal of Project Gemini is to develop public awareness throughout the United States and Britain regarding vision loss resulting from trauma and the recovery process. BVA was organized March 28, 1945. Its motto is Blinded Veterans Helping Blinded Veterans. The organization connects veterans and their families to each other, www.bva.org. Blind Veterans UK was founded in March 1915 as a nonprofit charity whose purpose was to perform rehabilitation training and support soldiers blinded in the First World War. The organization has continued for 102 years and gone on to support more than 35,000 blind veterans and their families, including those involved in recent conflicts in Iraq and Afghanistan. www.blindveterans.org.uk. BVA spouses attend the Military Caregiver Journey, hosted by the Elizabeth Dole Foundation. On November 13, 2017, the Elizabeth Dole Foundation, in partnership with the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, invited caregivers to participate in a critical conversation to define the military and veteran caregiver journey and the roles each of us play in supporting their journey towards empowerment. BVA and Operation Peer Support sponsored 2 caregivers to attend the event and share their stories, which also saw former First Lady Laura Bush as the keynote speaker. Lindsay Smith, wife of Sergeant First Class retired Dale Smith, got married on September 10, 2001. Earlier that year, Dale joined the U.S. Army to become an infantryman. Dale served 3 tours overseas in both Afghanistan and Iraq. In July of 2011, Dale was severely wounded in combat when he was shot in the head by an enemy sniper. Due to his injury, he suffered complete blindness to both eyes, a severe traumatic brain injury, and a stroke. Over the last 6 years, Lindsay has cared for Dale and their 3 children, Cadence, 11, Sage, 7, and Dallin, 4, as they have worked to regain their life and overcome the challenges of his injury. Jessica Harrison, wife of USMC Corporal Nate Harrison, have been married for 15 years. They have 3 boys, Peyton, 12, Corwin, 9, and Truman, 5. They live in Kansas City, Missouri, where Nate is a police officer. In December of 2015, Nate got into a motorcycle accident that left him with life-threatening injuries. Jessica never gave up, even though she was told that Nate had less than a 1% chance of survival. Nate was in a coma for 5 weeks, but God gave the family a miracle and he woke up on January 14th. She has been his caretaker since the day of his accident, where Nate had lost his right leg, had a TBI, and was left blind. The Elizabeth Dole Foundation is the preeminent organization empowering, supporting, and honoring our nation's 5.5 million military caregivers, the spouses, parents, family members, and friends who care for America's wounded, ill, or injured veterans. Chaplain's Corner by Chaplain J. McLeod. A thumbnail head and shoulders black and white photo of Chaplain McLeod accompanies his column. He is depicted wearing a hat with Veterans written across the front, and he has his hand just under his chin as he peers into the camera. As we enter the holiday season, we must remember the true meaning of the holidays. For many veterans, the holiday season is hard to get through. I remember being like those veterans, with my thoughts going back to hard memories of what my life used to be and of the vision I used to have. Well, I am here to tell you that these thoughts are not where you or I need to be focused during this time of the year. On the Thanksgiving holiday, many people have a meal that reminds us of the early settlers, the Native Americans, and their harvest. This has come to be known as the first Thanksgiving. Although times were hard, these people used this meal to be thankful for all of the things for which they had been blessed. Throughout the centuries, this tradition has carried on. Thanksgiving has become a time to follow the settlers' example and appreciate the things in our lives that we have accomplished, no matter what we have been through. During this holiday season, remember that it is not about trees, lights, or presents. It is a time to appreciate the good things in our lives. I urge you to encourage yourself and someone else to be thankful for the things that you have. It is through our thoughts that our futures are shaped. So remember that although we have been through difficult times, we have a choice of who we are or who we become. Though the holiday season is a hard time for so many veterans, I encourage you to celebrate the true meaning of this time of year and fill it with happiness for the things for which you have been blessed. World War I Quick Facts. Despite being shot and blinded in one eye, a pigeon delivered a message that saved 200 U.S. soldiers. Auxiliaries View by Edna Dixon. Edna's Auxiliaries View column also comes accompanied by a small head and shoulders photo. From what can be viewed, Edna appears to be wearing an elegant dress. The visibly lovely earrings also make her appear to be formally dressed. She is smiling faintly in the photo. There is no caption. It seems that all the BVAA groups have been so busy this fall season that I have not received any news for this bulletin. My inspiration has been to do an overview of the national BVAA officers, starting with our president, Sandy Krasnodemski, and I will use the words she used to describe herself. I was born and raised in Detroit, Michigan, where I lived with my mom, dad, sister, and brother. I attended the University of Detroit and was a supervisor at Blue Cross for 7 years. I met my husband, Richard, through a mutual friend. She gave me his address, and we corresponded throughout Rich's Vietnam tour. We were married the next year and will be celebrating our 50th anniversary in 2018. We have 3 wonderful sons and 4 terrific grandchildren. They have all been very helpful with Rich's situation. We are truly blessed. We are a Catholic family, and I have enjoyed sharing my faith with children for more than 40 years as a religious education teacher. I am also very active in my church. In 1991, I began volunteering at a nearby pregnancy center. As the director, there are many activities such as education, material assistance, fundraising, speaking engagements, and counseling that I oversee. I joined the BVA Auxiliary in 2002. It's been a great experience belonging to a group which assists and supports the blinded veterans. As National Auxiliary President, I find that the convention has been an opportunity to provide support to our auxiliary members by encouraging involvement in programs and speakers that present information for caregivers. The National BVAA board members have each been an integral part in the working of the auxiliary, and I thank them for their dedication. Let's join our hearts and minds in prayer for each other and for our country and its leaders. As individuals, we are but a very small part of the whole, but if we are joined together, we can be a mighty force. World War I Quick Facts. 73,000 U.S. World War I vets were painfully disabled for life, including blindness and TB, after being gassed. From the Field Staff by Hallie Smith. Decision-ready claims. The VA has made a new option available to some veterans who want to file claims for increased disability ratings. Veterans who take advantage of this option, known as Decision-Ready Claims, or DRC, are guaranteed decisions within 30 days of filing. These claims go through quickly once submitted, but they require a little extra work up front. Not all claims can be filed as DRC. While the VA may expand the program in the future, it can currently only be used for rating increases. Veterans must go through a recognized Veterans Service Organization, VSO, to submit a claim in this program. The main difference between DRC and regular claims is that the DRC process allows veterans to have medical exams before submitting their claim, and those exams can be conducted by a private doctor or a doctor at a VA medical center. The first step in filing a claim under DRC is to make sure that your VSO has an active power of attorney, POA. The VSO will file a form called Intent to File, which both establishes the effective date of the increase and makes it possible for the VSO to request a medical exam for you with the VA. Depending on what condition you are increasing and who you see for medical care, your VSO may send you a Disability Benefits Questionnaire, DBQ, to give to your doctor. Most DBQs are available to the public and can be filled out by a private doctor, but a few, including hearing loss and TBI, are only done by VA doctors or VA contractors. If you want an increase for a condition which doesn't have a public DBQ, or if you get all of your medical care through the VA, your VSO will request an exam for you. This exam will be done at a VA medical center or by a VA contractor. If you take a DBQ to a private doctor, you need to send a copy to your VSO, but if it is done at the VA or a VA contractor, the doctor's office will upload it directly into the system. The next step is the actual form to apply for an increase in compensation, VA 21-526EZ. Your VSO representative may be able to partially fill this out for you, but you will have to sign it yourself and get it back to them. Once the VSO receives your signed form back, he or she will upload it into the system along with any supporting medical documentation, and the process of filing your claim is complete. You will get a decision from the VA within a month. There are a few exclusions to the DRC program. For instance, pregnant veterans, incarcerated veterans, and veterans who are already waiting for a decision or a pending claim cannot use the DRC program. For a full list of exclusions and answers to other frequently asked questions, visit www.benefits.va.gov/compensation/DRC.ASP. In remembrance, the Blinded Veterans Association deeply regrets the passing of the following blinded veterans: Cape Cod and the Islands Regional Group, John F. Connell; Florida Regional Group, June Brigadier, Albert Coelho, Leo C. Bene, Arnold L. Pring, Doris D. Lombardi, Robert H. Heaton, Rufus Morris, Stanley Monaco, Woodrow Goff, Francis J. Lucier, Dorothy J. Chapman, Frederick A. Newton, Leon Fagan, Mario Rondon, Charles Cromer, Richard A. Buck, Jack E. Bird, Vernon J. Kaufman. Gem State Regional Group, Jewel C. Shupp. Kentuckiana Regional Group, Leon M. Ginsberg. Michigan Regional Group, Raymond E. Scott, Martin J. Janis. Mid-Atlantic Regional Group, Paul Karch, Charles E. Edwards, Willard Sittler. Mississippi Regional Group, James H. Goodman. New Jersey Regional Group, George Dewberry, Joseph Fabian. New Mexico Regional Group, Gary L. Farrell, John M. House, Gary A. McMillan, Christopher Silleroy, Donald L. Strong. Pennsylvania Regional Group, Richard D. Pillow. Rhode Island Southeast Mass Regional Group, George E. Gillick. South Carolina Regional Group, Samuel J. Murray, Willie R. Plummer, Richard Soper. Utah Regional Group, John E. Barrett. Washington Regional Group, Herbert F. Satterley. Wisconsin Regional Group, Terry L. McLeod, Thomas Goodrich, Donald Keenus.